Welcome back to my workshop. Now today I'm just about to start a new project and the first thing I have to do is use my Mitre saw, which is my weapon of choice. But I thought I'd show you quickly how to change the blade because this one's blunt and so is this one. I'll show you on both machines. This is a Metabo and this is a JCB. This is a 10-inch, this is an 8-inch. The principles are the same, but I'll show you on both anyway. So let's start off with the Metabo. Okay, so this is my 10-inch mitre saw. It's a compound mitre saw. This is the Metabo KGS 254M. You only need two things to change the blade. One of them is an Allen key, which is fitted on the machine here. A lot of machines now actually come with an Allen key or whatever device is needed for changing the blade. And the other thing we need is obviously a blade. I'll go through the sizes of the blade in a second, but the very first thing we need to do is make sure it's unplugged. Okay, whenever you're changing a blade on any sort of machine in the workshop, make sure it's unplugged. This is unplugged, so let's get the blade off. Okay, so the blade is held on by this single Allen bolt in the middle here, and this is a left-handed thread. Okay, so it's not your usual righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. You have to actually do this the opposite way around. Okay, now, as I say, you can either use the supplied Allen key. Okay, in this case, it's a 6mm Allen key. But of course, it turns. Okay, I'm actually going to use another Allen key because I find these easier to use. Now this turns, so what do? We need to lock the spindle. Now this has got a special spindle lock on it and I'll show you where that is. Okay, it's here. And all you do is you literally push that in and it locks the spindle. Okay, this is actually in its operational position at the moment. What we need to do is push it down and lock it in place. Okay, that makes it a lot more stable and easier to undo. Okay, what you do is you push in the spindle lock and then literally undo the Allen bolt. Okay, the Allen bolt comes out and you've also got this collar. Now the collar's got so locating teeth on it, so it can only go in one position. Okay, so now this should be free to come off, but obviously we need to raise the saw. Okay, at this point, it's probably a good idea to put on a pair of gloves because what you don't want to do is you don't want to cut your fingers. Okay, so I'll put on a pair of gloves here. Okay, move the shield out of the way and you literally just lift it out. Okay, all right, let's have a look at the blade. Okay, so this is the blade we've just removed. I know this is the right blade because I've been using it for years. Now, the first thing you need to know is what blade you're going to replace it with. It depends on what you're going to be cutting. Obviously, I'm going to be cutting wood. I'm quite happy with this number of teeth. So what I'm going to do is replace it with something very similar. The things you need to know is, first of all, these numbers here. Okay, 250 by 3 by 30mm. What does that mean? Right, 250 is the diameter of the blade, okay? So that's how wide it is, so basically 10 inches in this case. 3 is the actual kerf of the blade, so the thickness of the blade. 3.1, okay? And finally, 30, which is the diameter of the bore, okay? The bore here, which is 30. Okay, so they're the three measurements you need. So I've now got a replacement blade. Okay, this is an old work zone one. I'm replacing it with this, which is a Ferrix one. Okay, 250 by 3 by 30mm. Okay, so this should be a suitable replacement. Okay, so you may have noticed that these blades are 250s. Okay, so 250mm across. And this saw can actually take a 254mm blade. Okay, so putting a very slightly smaller blade in is not a problem. What you don't want to do is you don't want to put a bigger blade in. Okay, if you're in any doubts on this particular machine, underneath the motor here has got the actual dimensions of the blade. Let me show you. Okay, so looking at the front of the machine here, if we look underneath here, okay, there's a label there that tells you the model number and also the maximum blade size. Okay, just in case you're in any doubt. Okay, right, let's put this blade back in this. Right, so if we look on the blade here, this has got arrows on it, okay? This shows the direction of rotation, okay? You can obviously go by the direction of the teeth, but just to be on the safe side, it's got an arrow. Now, if you look at the machine itself up here, okay, it's got a corresponding arrow here. This shows it goes in this direction. All right, make sure you get these right, because obviously you can fit the blade the wrong way around. So we're just about to put this back on, so gloves back on. If it's got one of these plastic coatings, remove that. Okay, don't cut yourself, don't cut yourself. Okay, and fitting it back into the saw is exactly the reverse as removing it. So shield out of the way, blade in position, just slide it in. Okay, make sure it sits on this boss correctly in the middle. Okay, collar goes on, make sure that the teeth, locating teeth, actually locate. Okay, then your nut goes back in, remembering it's a left-hand thread. Make sure the blade's seated correctly. Spindle lock in. And then tighten. Okay, you don't need to really over tighten it. Release the spindle lock, make sure it turns, and if you can, without cutting your fingers, move the guard out of the way and just give it a quick turn around to make sure it runs true. Okay, so that's now back in, so we can power that back up and give it a shot. Okay, so that's the 10-inch Metabo done. Going to have a quick look at this one here, which is the JCB. This is an 8-inch model, which is the SCMS210. Okay, principles are exactly the same. There's a couple of little different bits which I'm going to show you now. The first one is where the spindle lock is. Okay, so on the JCB, the spindle lock's in a similar position, but it hasn't got a red button on the end. Okay, so just so that you know, this is the spindle lock here. Same principle, push it in and hold the blade. Okay, but it's got another detail. Let's turn it round. Okay, over the centre bolt here, okay, it's got this cover. Now what you have to do, push in this yellow button and then slide this cover out of the way. Okay, that exposes your centre bolt. Okay, same again, push it down into the lock position, making sure you don't damage this because it can get caught up. Down into lock position, push in the pin, put in your Allen key, spindle lock in, into the lock position, and then undo. Okay, same again, Allen bolt, then the collar. This one has actually got a flat on either side. Raise the machine and then put your gloves on. So now the bush is off the front. Same again, lift up the guard and just slide out the blade. Okay, same again, check the direction of the blade. This one's got an arrow on it. This is a 210 by 2.4 by 30. So same size bore, slightly thinner kerf, and a smaller blade. Okay, I have a replacement here, which is another work zone unit. Now I've opted for less teeth on this one. Okay, again, direction of travel, okay. Refit the blade, slide it in, okay. Make sure it sits on the boss in the middle. Fit the washer, refit the bolt, left-handed thread, spindle lock in and tighten it up. Okay, same again, make sure it's running true. Okay, and then refit the cover. Okay, let's do a test cut. Don't forget to use your dust extraction. Okay, so that's about it. Two different machines, okay, the Metabo and the JCB. Even though they're different manufacturers, the principles of changing the blade are the same, and you'll probably find that this is the same on a lot of Mitre saws. Okay, so now I've got a new blade on the 10-inch, a new blade on the 8-inch. I can now carry on with my next project. I hope that was useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. You're using, this one is obviously for wood. Oh, down into the locked position, pushing the pin. That doesn't work. Oh, that's really out of focus. Here we go. What the f is going on here?